Fellow St. Lucians, this is Open Mic, and we are back to the fourth and final segment of our program. Reno, we talked earlier about the possibility of engaging our people and promoting business. We discussed already about buildings. I'm saying we need to generate money. I feel that the presence of Taiwan on island is a plus for St. Lucia, and we need to be talking to those individuals because Taiwan is a well-recognized, financial, successful country, high education, and when you look at St. George's, it has 7,000 universities. We have a couple universities here. The Spartan is the highest with probably 250 students, but 35 and 40. That doesn't make any sense at all. We need a place for 5,000 or 6,000 students and run by proper people and do it on a high level scale. If I'm not mistaken, you had even started a project somewhere up north, the hope of doing that.
Yeah, actually I started a project there.
Yeah. So let me hear what I want to hear from you, Reno, is what direction should we take? Should we continue on the little 30, 40 people, or we do choose something better?
We should always do something better, but you know, with the small start off that they had, there were a lot of teething problems. We're even trying to get the schools and making it.
Why? Because lack of funding?
No, it's not lack of funding.
Couldn't get the students?
No, it is because of government, what they put in place, how they put in place to ensure that everything's falls.
Yeah, some of it was not in place.
So, I mean, as anything else, you know, government takes forever to make anything happen.
Yeah.
We all know that. So I think that forever now is about 10 years now.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be well poised and well in place for us to move to a new level.
Yeah.
I think what has to happen though is direct concentration. We need to have a direct concentration, and I think it needs to be led by the Prime Minister himself to do two things.
Yeah.
One is to look at local investment and not allow and leave it to the different entities within government to try to make it work.
Correct.
Once he does that, it makes it frustrating for everybody and nobody wants to do anything. And I am sure there are a lot of people who will invest in St. Lucia to make things happen in St. Lucia if they had a direct contact that would ensure that things happen.
You know, in all fairness to the Prime Minister, Reno, he has really been doing a lot himself. In fact, that is what people have been saying, that he is taking too much on his own. He goes up to England to try to get investors when he has a high commissioner and he has people in England. He has to go to Washington. But I know the name Prime Minister by itself is very important. And Dr. Anthony is an intelligent man and he's capable of doing those things. But as you rightly said there, I think Dr. Anthony needs to pick his fights. When I say pick his fights, for instance, exactly what you said, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, he has to understand that this day and age here, a university with 7,000 people, he seems to have a good relationship with Taiwan now there. He can get a few local people together and get that damn thing off the ground.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that. So we look at the local. How do we encourage local entrepreneurs to invest and develop?
Correct.
So that's on one front. And how do you go and you get those foreign investors? What they always refer as foreign direct investment. The emphasis always seems to be on foreign direct investment and not on the local direct investment, which I think has failed all governments. Because the very same people who has kept this economy going to what it is today, government has paid very little or no attention to them and the encouragement of continued development. And that's one of the places I think that is very important for us to move. That is for us to move the country forward at this time. In terms of moving forward again, it is not a short-term decision that has to be taken. It some major short-term decisions that will be taken, but long-term decisions that will be taken.
You've always said so, and I couldn't agree with you more.
You know, discipline and indiscipline is paramount and number one to why we are here today for everything else. And again, just like Obama for the US, which is what all other governments look at, it is our Prime Minister for St. Lucia who needs to be a little more demanding on our people.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, even in this term, he has been so very passive with making the decisions on what. I don't know if he is scared of people saying that he's done this or he's done that, like the last administration that he was heading. But I think he needs to be a lot more stern and tell the people what he's demanding from them.
I think part of Dr. Anthony's problem is Dr. Anthony made some poor decisions. But Dr. Anthony has to understand that you and I have made poor decisions too.
That's right.
And you have to move on in
life. Move on from it.
Because you know something, nothing beats a trial but a failure. I'm not saying, but he has to forget this thing. I think Dr. Anthony has laid a lot of emphasis on a legacy. A legacy is one thing, but reality is another. And I'm saying, I keep on saying it over and over and over. There is no question about Dr. Anthony's intelligence. He is an intelligent man. And I'm just saying to Dr. Anthony, please, Dr. Anthony, listen to what I'm telling you today. Take a good look at St. George's. You've always talked of long term. Now, St. George's University is like 30 years going. That has been a long term. Why? It's not a little penny halfpenny business. That time, that organization, if I'm not mistaken, was sold 3 times on the stock market. It's an investment. It was sold recently, I hear, for $1.25 billion. It doesn't change hands. It's just people who make their money on it because it's a cash cow, okay? And I personally have told Dr. Anthony time and time again, and he knows what I'm saying is the fact there, that we have to push for a good full-fledged university, because a full-fledged university will bring home economics, a stimulus to many of us. You, me, especially a person like you in the construction business. Let me tell you something. If you just go to the Spartan University in Beaufort, which has been in existence for 25 years, watch all the little homes that went on, the students rent, whether it's $600, $700 a month.
It's a major contribution.
It's a major contribution.
And it adds up.
Yeah, and they are very, you know, I was reading a report today about about Dwight Venner, about tourism, saying that we have to increase our tourism by 10% to be successful. But that's what I'm trying to say. There are not many options open to us, you know, because of the fact that we are a small nation. We cannot compete globally with many things here. But by the same token, you have to focus on the areas that we are good at. Okay, the tourism has been going for 50 years, and I'm saying to Dr. Anthony, please go to the Taiwan government. You can call, I'm sure he can get shareholders to come in. We can put in some money, let them go 50-50, and let us put a good 7,000 students there. What are the areas you need to talk about right now? Because time is running out.
Yeah, in terms of what we need to do, like I said, the discipline of our people, what we do, what we demand from them.
Yeah.
One of the important things is that I always refer to, if we are looking for us to move our country forward, is the influx of foreigners into the country.
Yes.
New York City, which is the heart of the United States,
correct,
is 90% foreigners.
Correct, yeah.
London, which is the heart of the UK, must be 95% foreigners.
Yeah.
There must be a good reason for that, right? Those countries cannot be stupid to have foreigners running the hearts. And for us, if we have to move and go anywhere else, the influx of foreigners into our economy.
Do you know what our problem is?
Has to move.
Have you ever heard of the land aliens license in St. The aliens license?
Yeah, but
to come into St. Lucia, okay, for a foreigner to do business, he must have an aliens license. Americans have told the OECS and the region, they are not aliens. They are not from Mars or outer space. They are from this same planet as us. So it raises the question that you're talking about there.
Well, you see, there's two things.
That should be abandoned.
Right, but there's two things that can happen. You know, they've been discussing economic citizenship.
Yes.
Which means that once you become an economic citizen, you're no longer an alien.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. So, you know, there are ways for us to go around this. And I think if we have to drive and push economic citizenship,
then so be it.
Let us do
caution.
That. With caution. Let us move on.
Let me tell you something. Dr. Anthony is a lawyer. You mean to tell me after 40, 50 years, and this has been discussed, that some legal team cannot prepare what you call an affidavit form? They know the questions that they would fail on, and you let them fill out the forms, okay, and you sign, and there's a clause that if you break the clause, what the penalties are.
That's correct.
So, I mean, why are we wasting our time? Yeah, good. Well, Reno, I wish I could talk to you for another hour, But you will have to come back again because
Yes.
we've only discussed half our program.
Yes, no problem.
In closing up, I just wanted to give a couple closing arguments of what we have said today.
Right. What we're basically saying is there are major changes that need to be made immediately for us to see a movement and a change in economic activity and how government operates right now, because it seems to be affecting on a holistic approach the country on its own. And we've come up with a number of ideas and suggestions on what needs to be done.
So you hope that somebody is listening today.
I think they always listen. I think what it is the will
to drive
for it to make it happen.
That
is non-existent. The will to make it happen is non-existent. But you know, with constant talking and speaking about it, it actually makes things happen because it creates an effect where you know somebody out of the way just heard it and could have put something into effect.
Reno,
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you very much for being here.